and welcome to Songkla Rajapat University's MOOC course, English for Communication 1. This is Unit 4, talking about your home, Part 3. A little vocabulary, words you can use to talk about houses and so on. So let's take a look first of all at some of the different types of house or building that you might come across. On screen, you can see we have lots of different types of property. In the top corner here, our apartment building, or in Britain, a block of flats. And that would be lots of different people living in different houses of their own on top of each other. And you could live on the ground floor, first floor, second, third, fourth, and so on. A houseboat. These are a little more exotic and unusual, but some people can live on the water, and their house is on the sea or on a lake or canal. A log cabin, a house made from logs, from large pieces of wood. A little more common again, a detached house. If you remember from the first part of this unit, the monologue talked about a detached house, a modern detached house. And you can see this house is on its own with nothing at either side. If you have another house attached, like in the picture here, we call it semi-detached. So it's semi means partly. So it's detached on one side. This one's detached on this side, nothing. But in the middle, they are connected. So it's semi-detached. A hotel. Some people, for example, students, travelers, may live in a hotel, even long term, similar to the way people stay in an apartment building. But it's a type of property. If you're very wealthy, perhaps you live in a castle, or maybe you're a king. Where I come from in Scotland, there are lots of old castles. A mansion. A mansion, it's like a detached house, but it's much larger. We would use that term to describe very big and usually luxurious, expensive houses. If you live up on the North Pole, you might stay in an igloo, a house made from snow. So the Inuit people may make igloos. A hut, a small, usually small wooden structure, sometimes with straw or leaves for a roof. In Thailand, people come and stay at resorts with a hut on the beach. So it can be quite a beautiful thing in a hot country. Not so good for cold places. A 3-story brownstone. This is a very American term. The examples here on this slide are American English. And 3-story, we can see there's 1, 2, 3 floors. And the house is made of brownstone. So this would be a row of houses together. And it's a type of house, a terraced house that we would have in the UK. When you were a child, perhaps you had a tree house, not so much something we'd live in, but somewhere you might play. Maybe you travel a lot and you stay in a trailer. This could also be called a caravan or a camper van. In Britain, we tend to use caravan as the term. Americans will say trailer. You might also come across a lighthouse. People don't live in these as often. They used to be a home to lighthouse keepers, but technology has replaced that. If you go camping, you stay in a tent. Again, a very American thing. Native Americans had teepees, a particular style of tent. And you may live in a farmhouse. So here we have a farm, the farmhouse with a barn and storage silos and things. But you would describe, where do you live? I live on a farm. I live in a mansion. I live on a houseboat. So there's lots and lots of different words to describe types of property. What would you call your home? Is it one of these or something different? If it's not on this list, have a look and see if you can find the right word to describe it. What suits best? Okay, let's move on. In general, most houses have the same basic parts, whether it's a mansion or a detached house or an apartment. We tend to have some of the similar things. So a few vocabulary words that you can use. We can see here, my house, my home, the place I live. Just going to use the highlighter here. So the garage. You remember from the first part of this unit, we had the garage, a two-car garage. And we can see two cars parked there. And we have two of those. So it should really have an S on the end, plural noun. The cars are on the driveway. That's the little piece of road driving across your property to the garage. We have a path, somewhere to walk up to the front door. And this house has a letterbox outside. A lot of houses in Thailand have this. You may also find that the letterbox is just a hole in the door that letters would be delivered to. So parts of the actual building itself on the outside. We have the roof. You can see going up and down. There's lots of different styles of roofs. Some are flat. Some are pointed like this one. Some are rounded. So you can have different types of roof, but the idea is the same. We have windows. Little attic window. The first floor window. In Thailand, this would be the second floor window. In Britain, it would be the first floor window. And the ground floor window. Or in Thailand, the first floor window. So we usually have lots of windows in a house. And a balcony. You may recall in the conversation, the man was looking for a flat with a balcony, somewhere he can sit out. So you'd be able to come out from your house and sit on the balcony or stand and look outside. So these parts of the property all tend to be the same. Look around your house. Is there anything else that you don't see here? Oh, sorry, I missed the door. Of course, your house needs to have a door. And there can be lots of kinds of those as well. Patio doors, things like that. As you look around and you start to learn the language, look for parts of your house you don't know what to call them and see if you can build up your vocabulary. This house, we can see there is a small front garden or front yard with a lawn, grass, and bushes, plants, and things like that. So what does your house have? From our story earlier, there was a wall around the house, and there's no wall or fence or gate here. These would be things that you might have around your house to separate it from every other property. So there's lots of vocabulary you can pick up just describing a property, and other words we use for the inside of a property, which is what we'll take a look at a little bit now. So here's an example of a house, and we're looking at the inside a little more here. You can see the basic rooms. We have the loft or the attic, which is inside the roof space. The outside, we call it the roof. Inside each room, we call it the ceiling. We have a bedroom, and there may be several bedrooms in your house. A bathroom, kitchen, and a living room. So these rooms are separated by walls. To get from the first floor or the ground floor to the second floor, we have stairs. To get from the second floor or the first floor, depending if you're British or not, we have a ladder to get access to the loft or the attic. So when we look at each individual room, there's so many things we can talk about inside your home, and so much vocabulary to learn. What I'd recommend is that you start with the main items you'll see in a room, and I'll list some of these for you today and what we use the rooms for, but gradually build your vocabulary, learning what we call things. It'll make it easier for you to describe and talk about items in English. Let's start with the bedroom. The bedroom tends to be where we sleep. It's also often where we get dressed. We put on our clothes and keep things there. In this bedroom, we can see in the middle a bed. And this one you can see has two pillows, so we'd call it a double bed. Each side of the bed we have tables or cabinets. A bedside table or a bedside cabinet. The difference tends to be cabinets may have a door you open. Bedside tables may just be a table with legs, or you might have a drawer. On each of the bedside tables, we have a lamp. So there are two lamps, there are two bedside cabinets, and there is a double bed. Also, there is a picture on the wall above the bed. You can see there. The next room, the bathroom. The bathroom is where we wash. We take a shower. We take a bath, or we bathe. So you can take a bath, B-A-T-H, and we can use the word the bathe, B-A-T-H-E. In the morning, I brush my teeth at the sink. So the items we have in this room, we have the bathtub, which is this here. You can sit down, relax, and soak in the tub. We also have a separate shower. You can just see the little shower head there inside a little cubicle of its own. We have the bathroom sink, and we have the toilet, the most important part of the bathroom for me. Above the bathroom sink, we have a mirror, something you can look at, see what you look like in the mornings. The next room, our living room. You might also find people call this a lounge. This is where we tend to relax, watch TV, things like that, and sit together with our family. In this living room, we can see a few items. We have a lamp. This one's much bigger. So this we may call a standing lamp or a floor lamp. It's much taller than the lamps we see in the bedroom. This is the sofa or the couch. So a sofa, a couch, or even a settee, different words for what we sit on. You may also have chairs and other things in your living room, a television. Here we have a table. And that would often be a coffee table. We'd use the term coffee table for a fairly low table. It's not very high, and it's suitable for putting a cup of coffee if you're sitting on the sofa. In the middle here, we have a hallway. The entrance, when you come into the house, we enter the hall and we have the stairs when you go in the front door, and each other room comes off from the hallway. The final room we'll take a quick look at is the kitchen. So the kitchen is where we cook food. I cook in the kitchen. In this case, we don't have a separate dining room. We can see a kitchen table, the little brown outline here, with 2 chairs. So I eat in the kitchen. And we sometimes say a kitchen diner or dining kitchen. We'd also wash dishes at the kitchen sink. So some of the activities you do in the kitchen. We prepare food, we cook our food. We can see some of the main appliances. All across the top, we have lots of cupboards. So these are kitchen cupboards, storage space. And we have more down here. On top of these cupboards, we'd call that the counter, the kitchen counter. Here we have a cooker. We also have a washing machine for washing clothes, and an extractor to take all the smells from cooking out of the house. And the last item here is a refrigerator to keep our food cold. We usually shorten that to fridge. And this one is probably a fridge freezer. So one part keeps things like milk and meat cold and fresh. The other one makes ice and freezes food to keep it for longer. So joined together, a fridge freezer. So those are lots of words we can use to describe things, but every house has hundreds of items, way more than we'd want to cover in a video like this. This is just to give you an idea of some vocabulary you can start using. But try going round your house. Name all the items you can, and then make a list of the things you don't know, and slowly build up names and vocabulary to describe those other things. Thank you very much for looking at the video today. I hope you found it useful in some way. Goodbye.